Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to this. This is BRK162, as everyone can see up there. We're going to be spending the next hour talking about how Azure AI Foundry and Copilot Studio can work together. We're going to be talking about bringing a lot of the platform services that Foundry offers over to the SaaS infrastructure that Copilot Studio uses. And we're going to be focusing on two main areas, models and search, which comes up in almost all the engagements we see. So super quick, we've got a great lineup of speakers today. First off, we've got myself. I've been around for a while. Some of you have probably seen me at Build since the very first one of these for Azure years and years ago. I've been doing agents and conversational AI forever. We've got Mads from the Azure AI Foundry team, who's going to be talking about Azure AI Search. We've got Uri, who came out to talk about some of the model work that he's been doing and how you can bring models from Foundry into Copilot Studio. We've got MK, who's also going to be talking about how you can bring your own models to prompts and doing a bunch of demos around that. And we've got Natalie from CSX, who's going to show us a great scenario that they've actually built and deployed using Copilot Studio and Foundry and a whole bunch of other technologies. So you should have a great lineup today, a lot of live demos, a lot of great slideware. You can download all this stuff as well. I think everything we're talking about today, public preview for most of it, GA for Azure Search, and private preview for the bring your own model work. So if what's not public today will be public here very, very shortly. So super quickly, again, the two main areas, search and models. I assume everyone here has used Azure Search a little bit if you're in this room, right? So this is where you go over to the Azure portal, you deploy Azure Search, you create vectorized indexes of things, and then you can link that directly up now through the UX we're going to show in Copilot Studio, and you get an extraordinarily configurable search infrastructure that you now have agentic capabilities over. You can also now bring in all 1,900 models from the Foundry catalog. You can deploy those to the regions you want. You can pre-train your models. You can do all kinds of great things with them. And now you can tie those directly into Copilot as well. So you can start using different models for different things. You can use the right models in the right areas. You can optimize for latency, for cost, for performance, or your reasoning, or whatever you're looking to reason over. And our audience today will get to see all of that. So as everyone knows, as a company, every employee has a Copilot, and all the business processes have agents over them now. We're seeing a lot of that, and we're bringing a lot of that together. Right? Copilot Studio is the place that we recommend people start. It's a SaaS infrastructure. You just go there and click and deploy. Almost immediately, you have a secure, scalable, performant, works really well across the board, and then you can start plugging in more specialized areas as you need. Now, you've probably seen this at Build before. This is not the first. I'm not the first person to show this slide. This stuff is growing like gangbusters, right? We have over 1 billion applications we think will be deployed in the next couple of years. So we're just getting started. And we really believe that there are two main ways we're going to expand this, right? On the one hand, you've got user-led, which is from the bottom up deployment. We're seeing a lot of that with AI models make it really easy for citizen developers, for line-level people to build and deploy agents. And we also see org-led infrastructure, that is from the top down, creating business-changing agents, really defining what processes should be, taking that really top-down approach, taking that really bottom-up, very iterative approach, and pushing them together for some amazing solutions. So we believe that we have the best platform end-to-end for building agents, right? We have Azure. We have SaaS, we have PaaS, we have all of the things that you could want. We have deep integration into the Microsoft Fabric with M365. We have a lot of the company data. Oh, it's the air conditioning. We have security, compliance, governance. All of the infrastructure that you'd expect from Microsoft is here on our platforms. So you get to use all of it now very quickly, right? It's not just you're not locked into a SaaS solution or a PaaS solution. You can bring all of those together and get down everything you need super quickly. And we have the spectrum, right? You can start no code. You can go to Copilot Studio, not even Copilot Studio. You can start with Agent Builder and just describe what you want. Or you can go all the way left with like the M365 Agent SDK and just write code to do all this. And we have the spectrum in between, right? We're showing today VS Code plugins for Copilot Studio. We've got, of course, the UX in Copilot Studio, which is all SaaS deployed. We've got GitHub Copilots. We've got Azure Foundry. The entire spectrum from no code all the way through professional development is here. So tooling is, it's almost a tyranny of choice because we have such diversity of tooling now. It's fantastic, right? When I sit down, I personally end up in Visual Studio. That's been my happy place for decades now. But increasingly, you start with Copilot Studio, or you start with just writing a prompt to scaffold everything out. There is a lot of code diversity, a lot of tool diversity. We're going to get into MCP a little bit towards the end of this. Just all kinds of great ways to walk through and really say, this is what I want to control, this is what I want to customize, this is the stuff I can just use out of the box. So all of the infrastructure is there. And as you go through and you look at the different aspects of what your code does, oh, I need to talk to my customers on this channel, I need to talk over SMS, or I need voice. We have that across that diverse ecosystem that we have, right? We have hooks in the Copilot Studio for that. We have hooks in the Foundry for that. So you can go down this list, actions, tool discovery, orchestration, models, and you can really pick and choose where on the spectrum you want to be for each of these. It's a very straightforward approach. We have lots of samples. And in just a moment now, so Mads is going to come up here and show us how Azure AI Search really allows you to kind of next level up the search infrastructure that you're doing. So Mads, come on up. And please.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
OK, cool. So we are going to take a look at how we can do that first bridge of Foundry, which is the team I'm on right now, and Copilot Studio, which is bringing in your own Azure AI Search. To ground things, what we're going to be demoing today for all of you, is how do you build a IT agent that can help answer those IT questions for your customers or for your employees. Now, why would you actually want to bring in something like Azure AI Search into Copilot Studio? Well, for a lot of things, you don't need to, right? We have things like web search, Dataverse, Dynamics, even things from third-party providers like Salesforce and ServiceNow. But what ends up happening is you find that there are scenarios where your data is not in these locations, where you can't get them into those locations, or you want that extra level of control. And what you're going to learn from this session is Foundry is where you're going to get that extra level of control for those features you want to bring into Copilot Studio, right? You want to be able to control things like what embedding model are they using, the chunk size, how you're parsing it. And if you don't know what all these things are, that's OK. Because that's the other value of having Foundry plus Copilot Studio. Your experts in AI development could be using Foundry, building something like an Azure AI Search index that you as a business developer can bring into Copilot Studio. So Azure AI Search, I've said it enough times, this is what it looks like. It's our offering from Microsoft on how you can build the most robust RAG, and that stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, solution that is out there. And what I'm now going to be doing is diving in and showing you how do you actually integrate these two products together. All righty. So if we go over to my machine, I have a corpus of documents. Do we load? Oh, I just joked that this could happen to me, and now it is. OK, let's try unplugging and replugging, and that always works, right? There we go. OK, cool. So I have a corpus of documents for my IT department on how do I manage a bunch of different Surface devices. This particular document is telling me how to service the Surface Studio 2 and beyond. And there's a lot of content in here. In fact, it's 45 pages, and it even has a bunch of images in it. Right? And so what I want to be able to do is I could just store this in SharePoint, or I could just put this somewhere else that Copilot Studio can pull in. But I want to have complete control over how this document is ingested. And so what I'm going to be doing is I already created a blob storage account where I've uploaded all of these different service documents. And I'm going to go ahead and use my Azure AI Search resource within Azure to go ahead and index all of this information so that my AI can search and pull answers from these PDFs. I'm going to go ahead and use the wizard that allows me to select my blob storage. I'm using this fancy new multimodal RAG option that was just released. I'm selecting my storage account, where all of those wonderful docs are located. And then I can go ahead and proceed. And just to speed things up, I have this wizard kind of already preloaded for me. Oh. There we go. Since these are just PDFs, I'm going to go ahead and use default. And this is where some of the magic happens. I can now choose which models I'm actually using to extract information from images. So all those really complicated diagrams, how do I allow the AI to search over it? I'm going to go ahead and select my AOA resource, and I can use GPT-4o, one of our multimodal models, and acknowledge. And I can also choose how all of the text inside of this document is embedded. So I'm going to go ahead and use my embedding 3 large. I finish up all of this stuff. I need to say where are the extracted images going to be saved. And then I can go ahead and schedule this and create this index. Now, this does take a while, because basically you're having GPT-4o go through all of these documents, look at all the images, and extract information for it so that you and your AI can search over it in the future. So thankfully, for all of us, I've already done this in the past. And this is the UI within Azure AI Search that allows you to kind of test out the index that you created. I can ask it a question like, how do you replace the hardware in a Surface 11? I can click Search, and it will provide me all of the chunks, all of the search results in that document, or corpus of documents, that provide that answer. Okay. Now that I've created this, and my team could continually refine how it's indexed, I can go ahead and pull it into my agent. As I mentioned, we're building an IT support agent. I've gone ahead and provided a name and its description. And the last thing I need to do is provide it a knowledge source. So I'm going to go ahead and select Add Knowledge. And we have Azure AI Search on the very front page, because it is now officially GA, generally available. We'll go ahead and select it. It's already connected to that Azure AI Search resource. I'm going to go ahead and select this particular index and click Next. I can provide some additional details so that the AI knows how to use this index. This is for Surface support docs used to answer users' questions. You can, of course, refine this over time. I'll go ahead and select Add, and this is now being added to my Copilot, to my agent, I should say, so that I can now ask it questions. So we'll just give it a second longer to finish adding, and then we'll be able to go into the playground over to the right, and we can ask, how do I change the battery for a Surface, what was that document that we were looking at earlier? A Surface Studio. And I'll go ahead and hit Enter, and this activity map will show us how the AI is able to use, in this case, Azure AI Search, to pull in information from that index that we created earlier to then answer the question for the user. So it got some results. It's now generating the response. And we can see exactly how to change the battery along with the content from the repo, or sorry, the index. And with that, we've now given, let's go ahead and clap. We've now given our AI access to all of these documents. And so for the next step, we want to go further improving our IT agent by improving the model. So I'm now going to be inviting Uri up to stage to speak about that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Matt. OK, let's talk about bring your own model from Azure AI Foundry. So in Copilot Studio, we will offer customers with flexibility to choose from 2 different model types. One is the managed models, and the second is bring your own model integrations. With managed models, customers can pick and choose from best-in-class, created set of models that Microsoft offers. They don't have to go through the hassle of change management whenever models gets released. As part of the created offering, we will take care of the GPU infrastructure on behalf of the customers. And most importantly, these models already have responsible AI filters applied. With Bring Your Own Model, we're bringing access to the entire Azure AI model catalog, providing customers with access to over 1,900 models available in Foundry. In this offering, customers have to self-manage the access, deploy the model in Foundry, and then bring them to Copilot Studio. Here, customers have to manage their GPU infrastructure and their AI controls and instructions. Let's dive into bring your own model. For each of your distinct problems, you can choose the right model as needed. Each agent may have a different model right for its purpose. You can either select one of the generally available models, such as Claude, Llama, or Gemini, or you can fine-tune a new one using selected business data, all in AI Foundry. So today, we are excited to tell you about two complementing approaches to bring your own model into Copilot Studio, which allow consistency across Copilot Studio, model choice flexibility, and speed of availability to new models. One is bring your own model to prompts, task and scenario-specific reusable components. The other is bring your own model to response generation, agent-level custom model integration to improve overall agent performance. So let's start with response generation. OK, great. Oh, sorry. Let's go back to the slide. So as Matt talked about, we are developing an IT assistant. So it's under Contoso, a global enterprise. Its IT department faces a growing demand for support and experiences an overload of open tickets. To solve this, they have built an internal IT assistant agent using Copilot Studio. This agent, powered by fine-tuned models, intelligently diagnoses problems, retrieves relevant internal documentation, and enhances answers based on historical support cases. Let's see how it works. Now we go back to here. No. Yeah. OK. So this is the IT assistant agent. As we can see, currently the response model is GPT-4o, the default one that we offer. And in advance, I added the IT troubleshooting text guide that contains some ways to mitigate some common IT issues. So let's ask it a very random question. I can't connect to the Wi-Fi, getting certificate error. Now we wait for it to answer. So as we can see, the agent searches within the IT troubleshooting text, and it found an answer. Great. So we see this answer, that it provides some steps to follow, some common steps, like verify the Wi-Fi adapter and range, check the credentials, restart device, re-enter password, and also use the Contoso certificate refresh tool. And we can see that it found it in the text file. Now, let's go to the settings. In here, in the Generative AI tab, we see the primary response model section. And we see that indeed, the GPT-4o is selected. If we click on the drop-down, we can see a new option, connect a model from Azure AI Foundry. Let's click on it. OK, so we see a model that we need to provide some credentials for connecting the model from Azure AI Foundry. Let's go quickly into Azure AI Foundry. This is the fine-tuned model that we trained in advance. We can see its target URI here. We can copy the API key, and we see its deployment name. So from here, we can copy it inside here. Let's do it very quickly. Perfect, and hit on connect. Now, Copilot Studio verifies the connection. It verifies it very fast. And we can see that there is some default suggested instruction for the custom model. Those instructions are supposed to work for most cases and most model. This time, for demo purposes, I want to modify them a bit. Here, I'm embedding the tool results and the service results of the agent into the instructions that will be sent to the custom model. And I'm hitting the search query as well and saving. Should be very fast now. Perfect. Let's go back to the overview page. Yeah. OK. Now let's ask the very same question and see what we get. OK. We see the same progress starts, and we will get answers soon. Perfect. So as we can see, the response is quite different. It's more concise, and because of the training data, the fine-tuning, the model knows that the most efficient way to solve issues within Contoso is running the Contoso certificate refresh tool. Because of that, it put it first. It also, of course, suggests to ensure the Wi-Fi adapter and restart the device. And all it found it in the text file. Yeah, that's all. Great. And now I'm Ivan Temke to talk about bringing our model to prompt. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm MK Bajwa. I'll be talking through another great way of bringing your own model from Azure AI Foundry into Copilot Studio using Prombuilder. So before we get started, let me go back to our deck. So let's first understand what is Prombuilder. Prombuilder is a natural language way of defining how you want your prompt to look like. It works really well with various input types. It works really well with text. It works really well with images, document, and knowledge sources. It's amazing how it is easy to create a prompt using this prompt builder. And below, you also have your draft, your Copilot as well. I have used it multiple times. You just have to define the business scenario that you want to solve, and it creates a very detailed prompt for you. And also, the one thing that I really loved about Prombuilder is that you can actually articulate how you want your output to look like. And we live in this LLM world where it is very important, especially in enterprises, how our output looks and what is the information that's presented. And that's where Prombuilder comes into play while defining your output in the structure that is required in your enterprise. So without waiting any further, let me go quickly to the demo and show this in action. So right now, I'm in my IT help desk. This is an agent that, let's say, was created by Joe, who is an IT administrator in a company called Contoso. In this one, this is an agent that has been created so that it's very easy for somebody to troubleshoot any steps by their own, rather than waiting for an IT ticket to get solved, which can take sometimes days, sometimes even a couple of hours, making our process a lot more simpler. In this one, Joe has already provided the name, description, and instruction for this agent. And let's go ahead and check out what is this agent contained of. It has a prompt already added to it, which is AI help desk. So I'm very curious to understand what is AI help desk prompt. So I'll go ahead and check that out. So I'm now in my tools where I'm opening my AI help desk prompt. So because we were talking about models, let's first understand what are the different model options that you have it available. Firstly, you have some of the managed models already available for you. These are the ones that are curated by Microsoft and provided for you. You can choose from them. But in addition, the good news is now it's also possible for you to bring 1900 plus Azure AI Foundry models into the prompt builder based on your specific business use case. As you can see over here, I have a huge list of models already in. I have 5.4, Mistral, GPT 4.1, Grok, and a lot more. So these are the ones that I added by clicking on plus, where I can add this information. As you saw when Uri was giving a demo, how Azure AI Foundry looks like. This is an information that is very easily available. If you have a deployed model in Azure Foundry, you just have to add the simple steps, which is your deployment name, your URL, your API key, and add this model in. And within a couple of seconds, your model will just be in over there. So let's run this prompt. So I'm using 5.4 in this case. As you see in Prompt Builder, you define your inputs on the left side, and your outputs show up on the right side. In this particular prompt, the person, Joe, is actually using knowledge source of Dataverse, where he has already curated a bunch of issues that are very common in the organization, and also have added some troubleshooting steps that they recommend in the enterprise, making it very easy for them to go ahead and enable the people to do the troubleshoot on their own. And as we see over here, 5.4 did not disappoint us. It worked so perfectly well. It showed up some of the example from that knowledge source, which was about like, okay, these are the steps that we can use. It gave me example, I can't log in into my system. What is the problem that was identified? What is the likely cause? What is my resolution steps? It told me how this prompt is actually going to look like. So that's very powerful. You are in control of how the output is going to look like for your users. And below, it also very beautifully captured that if there is nothing found in any of the resolutions, you go and give a user an option to contact helpdesk@contoso.com. Super powerful, super useful. So I love this response, and I want to use 5.4. But because I am so tempted, because it's a huge list of models up there, so I'm very tempted to try out some more. So let's give couple of other models a shot as well. I would want to see how Mistral does it, and Grok. We just saw Grok yesterday. Elon Musk and Satya announced that Grok is also available in Azure AI Foundry. So let's go ahead and compare the results of both. And as it shows up, there are different advantages to each model. Like, for example, Mistral is really popular in certain geographical areas. Grok has its own advantages. 5.4 reasoning is really well if you're working with any kind of a reasoning kind of a prompt. It gives a lot of details. So let's see how Mistral came back and responded. It captured the objective and instructions really, really well. It's also a reasoning model, so it also gave me a detailed JSON output as well. It also told me its chain of thought. Similar to Phi, it also gave me a quick example of, from the knowledge source, how this prompt is looking, making it very easy for me to visualize that how this is going to look like for my end user. So let's quickly also notice that what Grok has shared. Similarly, over here, I think I like the objective and input handling that Grok has picked up. I like the example that it has picked up. Data reference looks good too. It picked up the tone and style too. And yeah, it is pretty detailed, but considering the scenario that we are going after is very simple, where I want somebody to just go ahead and troubleshoot stuff on their own. So I'll choose 5.4 and keep it simple. And that's a thing that you have to keep in mind. Like, for each kind of scenarios, you will have models that work really well. There are models that really work well for reasoning. There are models that really work well for images. And on topic of images and documents, let me show you another prompt for me, another prompt that works well with images. This is a prompt that Joe has created. Many a times, whenever we are working in any kind of help desk scenario, I love capturing the screenshot, and that's what I use when I'm reporting that this is an error that came in. So Joe has created this prompt that works with images. So that's where advantage of prompt comes in, because you just don't have Dataverse knowledge source. You have text, images, documents to work with. Whenever you're working with any of these, all of your Foundry models are smart enough to pick up that whether this model supports images or documents or not. So automatically, it will enable only the models that work well with images, so that you are not picking something that won't make you successful. For this case, I'm picking 4.1. So let's go back to our agent. So yeah. Our tech support assistant already had good description and good instructions already captured in. In tools, we saw that there is a prompt that has been created, which has a list of issues as well as troubleshooting steps for somebody to work with. For the image scenario, I have a topic that has been created, which will work for my image scenario. The prompt is already added to it. So let me give a shot of one of the issues that I face a lot whenever I'm working. So very real life scenario, whenever we are going in the early morning meeting, sometimes such kind of scenarios happen. So I am taking help of this assistant to help me, rather than me waiting for 1 hour for my ticket to get resolved, because meetings are critical, time is important, I need to reach there on time. And as we see in the activity map, as soon as I entered the prompt, it smartly picked up my AI Help Desk plugin, which is my prompt action that was added. It gave me a detailed response. So let's go ahead and check it out. OK, check your microphone settings. Absolutely great. Great step for me to go ahead, check the system sound settings. It gave me a very nice troubleshooting steps. And these are the things that I have fed into the knowledge source already. So if in your company, in your organization, there are specific guidelines around it, you can work well with it. So now coming to our other scenario as well, let's try it out with something else. So let's try with Outlook. So I'm telling that I have an image to tell my error. So it's asking me that give me the image. So I've given it an image. So let's see if our prompt builder is able to get this information from this image. Amazing, it did. So as you see over here, it is analyzing my image. It's telling that the error says something went wrong. And based on that error, it has also given me steps to debug. So very simple, very quick. And in this agent, as you can notice, the agent is working on 4.0. There are two prompts added to it. One is working on 5.4. Other one is working on 4.1. So it's a great combination of everything working together. Prompt is also a great way of doing it, just because it's a reusable component. You create it once, you can add it to as many agents as you want. So it's a huge ecosystem, and now I'm very pleased to announce this experience is now in public preview. Bring your own model with Prompt Builder is in public preview on Copilot Studio, Power Apps, and Power Automate. You can go ahead and try it out on your preview environments. And thank you. And now I'll hand it back to Chris.
Thank you, MK. All right. Back up here. All right. So thank you, everyone, first for Azure Search. It was a fantastic integration with Copilot Studio. Bring your own models, both the prompts and to all the Gen AI infrastructure, is transformative to me as a builder. You've probably seen demos of this. I'm going to go through this super quick today because there are dedicated sessions going on to this yesterday, today, and all through this afternoon. So first off, multi-agent orchestration. There is entire tracks dedicated to this at Build today. But this stuff all does work together, right? So you can go into Copilot Studio. You can see in the screenshot here, you just literally add in another agent, and off you go. So not too much to talk about here. I'll be taking questions after. People can ask. There's an entire, it's great. I don't have enough good stuff to say there. So the other one that's been all over Build this year is MCP, Model Context Protocol. That is now fully also in Copilot Studio, so you can do tool discovery. You can program this all in. There's docs, there's samples now. There's entire talk tracks around this today as well. I don't want to go into details, but again, this stuff all works together, right? The orchestration, the prompt, this spinning that you need across tool change, it's all here. And last but not least, at the far end of the no-code to pro-code spectrum, we have the Agents 365 toolkit and Agents 365 SDK. This is a Python, C#, and JavaScript SDKs that is code first. So you can VS Code, Visual Studio, you can connect to all these models, you can connect to all the Foundry infrastructure. I think there's labs going on pretty much as soon as this session ends for how to build agents using these SDKs and toolkits. There are VS Code plugins now that were announced today in this space as well. So there's an entire ecosystem here going from, like I said, the SaaS products that you've seen demoed in the last half hour, all the way through File New Project in Visual Studio. So there's a lot to go into there. But before I get too much further, I did want to talk about, you can pick. Right? All of this stuff is great. It all works together. Pro code, low code, SaaS, PaaS, it's all here. I did want to show a demo. So even better than that, we got Natalie, who is a technical director at CSX. She was, the demo you're about to see and the products they talked about were in keynotes yesterday. So with that said, Natalie, please come on up. So Natalie will walk us through what CSX has been doing in this space.
Hi, I'm Natalie, and so CSX is a rail transportation company. It emerged in 1980. It is a combination of several railroads. We are in North America, 23 states, and 21,000 miles of rail. So, and it's primarily freight rail. So just to give you a little bit of context of that. So we have an agent named 𝗬𝗬𝗀𝗬, and there's actually multiple agents, but 𝗬𝗬𝗀𝗀 is from our customer-facing website called 𝗬𝗬𝗀𝗀𝗀. They are named 𝗬𝗬𝗀𝗀 because of a historical icon that is a sleeping cat. Some people, I don't know if you are from Chesapeake and Ohio Rail, and there's this little sleeping cat icon. So it's a kind of a historic icon for rail fans and also for CSX. So that's why we named our agent 𝗬𝗬𝗀𝗀𝗀. We actually have internal agents named 𝗬𝗬𝗀𝗀𝗀 as well, so everything's called 𝗬𝗬𝗀 now. But what can 𝗬𝗬𝗀𝗀𝗀 do? So from our 𝗬𝗬𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 site, which is a suite of tools that our customers use, which customers are across all over the 23 states, you can call up and you can just ask frequent questions, get some answers to some common questions. And we're always iterating and adding in additional things based upon the insights that we see. Like if there's something that can't be answered, it's continually being updated, which is great about this tool. You can continually update things. You can also create and review shipment cases. So if somebody's like doing a track and trace, which is the first thing that's on here, but if they're doing something and they have a problem, or even if they hit the bottom giving a thumbs down, it'll immediately generate a case that goes, so it's not something they have to fill out as much anymore, and it takes the information out of there. So really great use case for that. The track and trace, we've had this functionality for a while where you can go in there and put in stuff, and but this allows, while you're asking something, if there is a problem, then it can automatically create a case, or if you have a frequent question, it can go pass on to another agent. I can show you kind of what that is. I won't hash through all of these, but this was kind of our use case for why are we doing this? What was the benefits of using AI? I know sometimes there's like, why do we have to do this? We already have a tool that does this. Why are we going to pay extra money? It honestly, I mean, it's around the clock, so you're not paying somebody to sit there. It's definitely cost efficient. We are expecting to roll out even more items, more agents so that you're not having to wait on a phone call or actually having to do particular, keystrokes, filling out a form, or waiting for somebody to get to you. So, and because of the continual improvement from the insights that you get out of it, you can actually see, well, what is somebody actually coming in to do, or why are they asking that, or how are they asking that? So it's been pretty phenomenal. Our solution, which I already said is called 𝗬𝗬𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, we have a supervisor, and that goes through the authentication of the user and kind of makes it a call as to, are you going to do a track and trace? Are you asking for help? What exactly are you doing? And then that supervisor can pass it off to another agent. And then if there's, again, like I said, if there's a case, then we'll immediately do a case as well. This is kind of our high-level system architecture. Our cases are going into Salesforce. We are accessing databases for the track and trace to answer that information. We're accessing some other systems just to help with the authentication. And you can see the supervisor is at the bottom, goes to, decides what agent it goes to. So it's pretty simple. This took, I'd roughly say, 3 months to implement, which is probably saying a little bit longer just because of the testing and kind of review you went to put it out for the public, especially customers. And, but it went really fast, and I'd say it works really well, and we definitely, oh, I didn't put the other slide in there. We definitely have other agents that we want to add to this. There's a definite backlog of a bunch of agents that we want to add to this that'll complement our 𝗬𝗬𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 suite. But we do have internal agents also that we use internally at our company that aren't listed on here as well. So I'll turn it back over to Chris.
Thank you, Natalie. All right, now we're going to get into the brave portion of this. So that's the end of our pre-canned content. I was going to open the floor up to Q&A if people have questions. There are microphones sitting in the middle, so you've got to be brave and talk into a microphone as well, so the recordings all work. With that said, Mads, come on out. MK, come on out. Uri, come on out. You've got 4 of us up here, and I recognize a few faces in the audience if we don't know. So please, go ahead.
Yeah, my question is for Matt for Azure AI Search. So some of the functionality that we've seen, does it work with subnet injection? Because no customer is going to allow firewall to be open. So.
I believe it does. I'm getting a big head nod. Yes, it does. Kind of the power of Azure as being a PaaS platform is it does work with a lot of those highly controllable things that you need, like VNet subnet injection. Great question.
Thank you.
All right. Next question, please.
I actually have 2 questions. So for our business case, we want to add a knowledge base which is behind that authentication. So how do you go around that?
So you can add some authentication to Azure AI Search, and then I believe it passes through from Copilot Studio into the Azure AI Search index. Some of the other knowledge sources that are there, like SharePoint, when you add them to your Copilot in Copilot Studio, that also uses the OBO token of the user, so they're only getting the documents that they have access to.
OK, thanks. Next question. So does the agent learn from the interactions with the user? So is there a way to fine-tune the agent based on previous interactions with the end user?
Yeah, so if you have a conversation state thread, it can obviously look through past stuff. I'm not sure, has memory been added to Copilot Studio quite yet?
Not that I believe so.
So what we do on the Foundry side, so we have another way of building agents, is you actually can build a memory tool. And so as you're having a conversation, you basically just inspect the conversation and extract facts, and you put that into an Azure AI Search index. And then when the agent is responding, it can go, oh, I should recall a memory. I want to perform a search in the Azure AI Search index. So I believe you could actually do the same thing within Copilot Studio, where as the agent is having a conversation, you could store those memories and then recall them.
There is a way to store, so all the user interactions that happen in your custom agents, they get stored in a table, Dataverse table called conversation transcript. It has all the logs of all the interactions, so you can use a Dataverse table in an agent of your choice and work around it. But there is a way for you to go ahead and check that out, to see the logs, understand, and go forward from there and use it if required.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Hi. I have a lot of knowledge in Markdown files and not in Word files or PDFs. So
that's good.
Yeah, I know. I want to vectorize it, but the images they are like links to images in another folder. So how do I deal with that?
Yeah. So I think when I went back off stage, I was like, oh no, there was a slide that I missed. So with Azure AI Search Index, there is an entire SDK in Python and Java and .NET and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is kind of the way you would then ingest these more custom document types.
Yeah.
So you would pull in, obviously, the Markdown. Whenever you get to one of those links, you would load in that file, and then you could ask it to then generate embeddings or descriptions for those images so that all get stored into Azure AI Search, which is, again, another reason why you'd want that break glass into those Foundry resources that you could then integrate with Copilot Studio.
Okay, and if I have knowledge that is changing rapidly, how should I update that? Or are there any routines? Like, should I just update the blob storage and it does it magically, automatically?
So if you're using the ingestion pipeline, there was a little checkbox of check for deletions.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So it can check for files that are deleted and it can do some cleanup. If you're doing something a little bit more advanced, like the files themselves are being updated on the fly, again, this was probably why you would pull in the SDK, so that you could basically look at the embeddings or the chunks that you've captured and basically do some dependency and go, oh, it was updated, trash those, regenerate them, and put them inside of the store.
Great, thank you.
Perfect.
In Copilot Studio, if you store documents in SharePoint, you get the nice citation so people can see the original source, but it's semantic search. If you upload the documents, you get better results, perhaps because of vector search in certain cases. Where does Azure AI Search, does it offer the citations back to the original? How does that work within that?
Yeah. In my demo, actually, if we just like switch back to what's going on, we do have citations that pop up. So that comes back with the results. The AI in Copilot Studio is told, hey, this is where these facts came from. And I believe I can click on it and I can see the actual citation.
But it just comes in as like that blob. It doesn't go back to the original document.
I'm not sure about Copilot Studio. I don't know if anyone has, but I know in Agents Play, when you build an Azure AI agent and agent service, it does provide you a link through code that you can then follow and provide a link for someone to navigate to that file. My assumption for why it's not out of the box here is because in my demo environment, I set these as private files. There's not actually a link that you can go and visit these files. I should try this with public files and see if the link works.
Gotcha, but that would be the way to, Azure AI Search would be higher quality than storing on SharePoint?
So I wouldn't say higher quality, I would say more control. So one of the values, if your files are in SharePoint, is you have an entire team in SharePoint and M365 that is constantly making it better, right? But they are making it better for the general case. Now, if you have a very specific scenario, like these IT documents, and I want to make sure that I'm extracting information from these like images where it's showing how to like change the battery, that is something that most humans are not going to need from their SharePoint search data. And so that's why I might push myself into Azure AI Search and get those extra knobs so I can enable that type of scenario.
Cool, thank you.
For sure.
Thanks for the presentation. Is there an upper limit in the number and the size of documents that you can index with Azure AI Search?
I don't. I'm sure there's some like theoretical or hard limit.
Is it in the hundreds?
I think it's in the hundreds. I think it's in the 100 megabytes. If it is that much bigger, again, I'm just going to keep saying SDK, 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 SDK. This is where then you could write your own logic to break up those documents and then give them to the Azure AI Search Index.
All right, thank you.
All right, everyone's favorite topic, data structures. So I have an agent, and its task is, like, go get this list of events and return it to me with this JSON schema. How do I prevent the agent from adding additional layers above the content of that JSON?
You can do that. Like, for example, if you're working with Prombuilder, the output format is also JSON. So one of the advantages is that when you are working with any kind of knowledge source, which includes Dataverse, and there are more additions coming in, you can define what shows up in your output, what doesn't show up. So you can define that on the left side. When we saw the Prombuilder, you can write the hash output and define the structure and show what you don't want to show. It won't show up.
All right, perfect. That sounds a lot better than threatening it to go straight.
Oh, yeah. No. And if you're using the OpenAI APIs directly, there's now a property on return type.
Okay.
There's both JSON object, which is like, as long as it's JSON, I'm happy. And there's another one called JSON schema, where you actually can define the schema and it'll throw errors on their side and make sure that it always returns an object of your schema type.
Cool, thank you.
So I know there's some limitation on file types that you can upload, like as a knowledge source. Any support for just Excel files? We have thousands of standard work documents that are in Excel files. I've done a workaround where I convert them to PDF, but I would love to be able to use them directly from SharePoint instead of having to do this kind of workaround.
So for Excel files, I wouldn't necessarily recommend like vector similarity search, because I'm assuming this is more like structured information, like it's like tables of like numbers and data and what have you.
It's more like a step-by-step process of how, like, step 1, do this, step 2, do this.
Oh, so it is like actual text content.
Yeah, yeah.
It is? Oh, okay, that's good, that's good. I don't know if we have any recommendations.
One of the way outs is like you can like import your Excel file as a Dataverse table, and you can use that as a knowledge source, or you can use that in the prompt builder to work with it. And in addition to today, like for example, like we support images and doc type PDF. That list is expanding. We're going to be supporting more file types. So some of these will come up, but for now you can upload in Power Apps. You can just upload all your Excel file, store it in a Dataverse table, use it as knowledge source, or use it within your prompt builder and define it.
Okay.
But if it's a step-by-step, I would say that why not use a PDF or Word doc?
That's what I do right now, but I'd like to kind of cut out that step.
Cut out that middle step of like export as CSV.
Right? Yeah, thank you.
Let's take one more public question, and then I'll stick around if anyone has questions they'd like to ask, without the hot mics, and we can go from there.
All right. Hey, yeah, thanks for the presentation. Any plans to support apps built in AI Foundry connecting to Copilot Studio agents, passing the OBO token so that they can go and perform that action on an agent they built themselves, but triggering it from another app?
So I've done that with the Agents SDK, the M365 Agents SDK. There is a class in there in all 3 languages, Python, C# and JavaScript, called the Copilot Studio Client.
Okay.
That will let you, from code at least, and I'm not sure about within the UX of Foundry, but you can actually fully connect and pass all the OBO tokens and all of the OAuth back and forth and work. So we've connected. Once you have a scenario lit up in Copilot Studio and working, you can connect to it from line of business apps through code and get everything to work. So.
Excellent. So is it basically puts out a public endpoint? Is that where it is?
Effectively, yes.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. I'll look into that.
All right, thank you. So with that said, I'll go ahead and say thank you, everyone, for coming. I'm happy to stick around, and as are my co-presenters. If you've got questions, please come on up. Otherwise, have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.